At just 24, Richard Gere's son Homer has finally broken his silence, revealing what many have long suspected. In a candid and heartfelt confession, Homer sheds light on the private life of his legendary father, offering a glimpse into the untold stories and deep emotions that have shaped their relationship. This revelation is set to surprise fans and change the way we see the Hollywood icon forever. Richard Gere's life and legacy. Richard Gere is one of those Hollywood legends whose name itself spells charm, style, and the eternal bachelor. But before he was the handsome, silver-haired man that women all over the world swoon for, Richard Gere was just a boy from Philadelphia with dreams and a whole lot of potential. Richard Tiffany Gere was born on 31st of August 1949 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He was born in a middle-class family, and he was the second of 5 siblings. Gere was always somewhat of an oddball. He had this profound interest in things and art at a young age. Music was the first love. He played the trumpet in high school music band. However, he did not take long to discover his passion in acting. Gere went to the University of Massachusetts Amherst on a gymnastics scholarship, but he was not interested in studying. However, he was more interested in acting and joined colleges where he acted in theater plays. He was soon able to drop out of college to focus on acting altogether, a decision that would prove to be fruitful in the near future. Richard's early work experience was in the theater, and he was well known in this field. He shot to fame in early 1970s when he was cast in the original London production of Grease. Yes, before he became a movie legend, Richard Gere was a Broadway legend. However, it was his move to the big screen that made him a star. In 1980, Gere appeared in American Gigolo, which set the mold for the kind of character he would play in most of his films: suave, sophisticated, and charming. From there, his career went up the roof. The 1982 film An Officer and a Gentleman helped to solidify him as the leading man, and who could forget Pretty Woman in 1990? He got famous for playing Edward Lewis to Julia Roberts, and the movie remains one of the most popular romantic comedies of all time. In the subsequent years, Gere went on to accept various roles ranging from the dramatic role in Primal Fear to the musical and dance in Chicago, for which he won a Golden Globe. His contribution to Hollywood has been felt not only in the box office returns, but more importantly in the kind of roles he has chosen to portray, thus demonstrating his acting prowess. Personal life and relationships. However, the professional success of Gere was accompanied by the equally interesting private life. Richard Gere has always been rather mysterious when it comes to his personal life. He is a religious man who has been a practicing Buddhist for many years. It can be said without a doubt that this spiritual path has influenced many of his decisions in his personal life and career. Gere's affairs have been in the limelight for many years now. He has been married 3 times, and his last wife is Spanish publicist and activist Alejandra Silva, whom he married in 2018. They have one of those stories that are so touching that 2 people meet at the right time in their lives. The couple has been married for over a decade. Although Gere was in his late 60s while Silva was in mid-30s, the couple is very much in love. They met their mutual love for humanitarian work and spirituality. They had a wonderful love story, and after several years of marriage, Richard was 71 years old when they welcomed their son in 2019. The birth of their son marked a new phase in Gere's life, and he was happy and grateful for the new life. Think of being a father at a time when everyone is planning to retire. However, age has never been an issue to Gere. However, he does not appear to be bothered by this at all, and instead seems to enjoy the experience and even finds purpose and joy in being a father. Of course, the media was full of the news that Richard Gere became a father of a child at his rather late age. However, Gere, who is very much a man of mystery, did not share much of this experience with the public. He has always made sure that his family stays out of the limelight because he knows more than anyone the challenges that are associated with fame. Thus, in many aspects, Richard Gere's life and work are not only in the films he made. He's a man who has been able to manage his own life, his professional life, and his personal life. It does not matter if Gere is on the screen or off it. He is not simply a pretty face or a charming man. He is a deep-thinking, passionate man who still remains a role model, not only in his profession, but in his lifestyle. And now with his son coming into the picture, there is even more to look forward to in the legacy of Richard Gere. Richard Gere's son, a private life in the spotlight. As a child of a Hollywood legend such as Richard Gere, one has to endure his or her own share of troubles. Despite the fact that many people tend to think that being born into fame means having no other option but to live a privileged life, the truth is very different, especially when it comes to the question of how to lead a normal life and protect one's privacy. Ever since Richard Gere and Alejandra Silva shared the news of the arrival of their son, people were keen to see the little boy. The notion of Richard Gere, an extremely popular actor who had always been rather secretive about his personal life, becoming a father later in life raised a lot of interest. But with that interest came the problems of raising a child in the public eye, problems that were to plague the family for years to come. For Richard Gere's son, life began with a famous last name that came with the baggage of a possibility of every action to be a headline news. Unlike other parents who can easily share their child's first steps or first word with friends and relatives, the Gere family was under the media spotlight. The paparazzi, who are always eager to get a new story, were always on the prowl, waiting for a new moment in the young boy's life. Richard and Alejandra, however, were keen not to expose their son to such pressures of fame and success. They ensured he did not get into the Hollywood life that would have exposed their child to the public domain. The couple was always very keen on keeping their lives as private as possible, and thus they decided to live a life that was very distant from the glamour of Hollywood. For Richard Gere, who is a man that has always loved his privacy and spirituality, this was a perfect way of doing things. Still, the media never lost its focus on Richard Gere's son. There was always a question as to how this child who was born to such a famous couple would develop. Would he be as handsome as his father? And would he also be a ladies' man like his father? Would he take up the family business and become an actor like his father? These were the questions that kept the tabloids and fans guessing. When Richard Gere's son was young, people in media could not stop wondering what he would become when he grew up. Each time he came out into the public, which was not very often, every gesture, every word was scrutinized to understand his character, his hobbies, and what he might want to be when he grows up. Was he already demonstrating the signs of an artist just like his father? Perhaps he had an interest in music, maybe, due to Richard Gere's early passion for the trumpet? Or was he more inclined towards the humanitarian work that both of his parents were so much involved in? Such speculations were made based on the rare sightings that the public got of him. Richard and Alejandra made sure not to allow their son to be photographed often. But there were times when the young Gere was seen, whether it was in a family function or a charity event. In these few glimpses, the media would analyze his conduct and clothing to look for signs of what his life was to become. For instance, if Richard Gere and his family were captured on camera on a holiday or at a simple event such as a birthday party, such pictures would spread round with headlines that asked about the boy's future career in Hollywood. Was he being theatrical like his father? Or was he less energetic, maybe even aloof, suggesting that he wants to avoid the limelight? Among the factors that defined these speculations was the family's attempt to live a normal life despite the fame that they had achieved. Richard Gere and Alejandra Silva were very keen on ensuring that their son leads a normal life as possible and not be influenced by the Hollywood life. They put him in normal schools and allowed him to pursue his hobbies and talents free from the pressure of the public. However, the public interest remained unchanged. It was not only who Richard Gere's son could turn into that people cared about, but also what kind of man he would be, what he would choose. Would he follow the family footsteps and maybe act or become an activist? Or would he decide to go against this and pursue a career that is quite different from what he is doing now? Despite the fact that Gere's parents have not shared many details about their son's interests and future plans, it can be stated that they have been very careful in raising a child in the show business. they have managed to dodge the pitfalls of public life and have given their son the freedom to be a child and to grow at his own pace unhindered by the media. The influence of Richard Gere's legacy on his son. It is a privilege and at the same time a burden to have a father figure like Richard Gere. In the case of Richard Gere's son, it means that he has a lot of expectations and pressure to meet because of who his father is. But it also comes with the possibility to receive not only the physical characteristics, but also the artistic skills and the views on life which can define the further life of the man. When you think of Richard Gere, certain qualities immediately come to mind. His smile, his wit, his spiritual nature, and yes, his creativity. One has to ask oneself how much of this has been inherited to his son. Although it is premature to know how these traits may evolve, there are, of course, some indications. First of all, Richard Gere's son has a good gene pool. Gere himself has always been more than just a pretty face. He is a man of substance who loves music, acting, and philosophy. Richard Gere is an American actor and musician who has always been interested in art and spirituality, from his childhood as a gifted trumpet player to his middle age as a Buddhist practitioner. One might not be amazed if his son had some of these qualities in him as well. Some people believe that Gere's son is gifted in the field of acting because of the genes that he inherited from his father. He could have easily grown up in a household where creativity is encouraged and therefore developed the same passion as him. It could be music, acting, or any other type of artistic performance. The environment in which he is raised could have a big say on what he would like. Besides the arts, there is also the Richard Gere's way of looking at life, which is based on Buddhism. Gere's spirituality has been a strong determinant of his life's direction, including his career in activism. These values are probably being imparted to his son, thus giving him a set of ethics and philosophy to guide him in life. Gere's son is in an environment where he can see and learn about compassion, mindfulness, and having a purpose in life. This philosophical legacy could play a role in shaping the perception that Gere's son has in the world and his role in it. He might grow up having a great sense of social responsibility just like his father, who has been involved in humanitarian organizations. If he decides to get involved in activism or just goes through life with such a frame of mind, the world would be a different place with Richard Gere's philosophies. However, as you may know, such a legacy always comes with the burden of expectation to meet such a standard. It is a fact that being Richard Gere's son, there are expectations from the public, from the media on who you are supposed to be and what you are supposed to achieve. Such expectations can be beneficial and at the same time disadvantageous. On the one hand, there is a possibility to continue the work of the organization that has been successfully operating for several years. Richard Gere's son has all the contacts, information, and opportunities that can help him to achieve success in the same field if he wishes to do so. On the other hand, the pressure that comes with the expectation to perform, or even better than his father, might be overwhelming. The audience and the media are always interested in the children of stars to succeed, to follow the path of their parents. Thus, the audience has their dreams on the children's success. For Gere's son, this might mean growing up with his father as a benchmark, not just in the physical and performing abilities, but in the decisions he makes in life. The media may wonder if he will join the entertainment industry as many celebrities do, or if he will follow his parents' footsteps and become an activist. This kind of attention can be so much pressure, especially for a young lady. This pressure may lead to anxiety or even prevent him from following some paths because he will never be able to achieve as much as his father. It is never a walk in the park to grow up under the umbrella of a celebrity parent. And for Richard Gere's son, this comes with even more pressure considering the status of his father. However, it can also be that Gere and his wife Alejandra Silva are gradually getting their son ready to face these pressures with style. Richard Gere, who has been in the limelight for many years, may know the need to let his son be and do things on his own, without the pressure of fame. The couple has stated that they are against fame and want to live a simple life for their son, which may be useful to help him not to feel the pressure from outside. The revelation. what we all suspected. Over the years, the public and media have often wondered whether Richard Gere has a son, and if the son would be a replica of his father. It only grew with time, and many people wanted to know if he would turn into a Hollywood actor or not. Recently, Richard Gere's son spoke out for the first time and said something that shocked many. Rather than declare that he wants to be an actor or a public figure, he told his audience about his religious transformation. He has also converted to Buddhism and has spent many years studying the religion from its teachings. This link to Buddhism, which has been a part of Richard Gere's life, was shocking and yet expected by some. Gere's son said in his statement how he had been influenced by his father's perspective of the world. He talked about love, kindness, awareness, and the meaningful life, all of which are values that his father cherished. Instead of focusing on the fame and the money, he stressed his interest in the spiritual journey and may decide to devote himself to the causes he believes in. The reaction from the public and the media was rather diverse. Some were shocked given that they thought they would be receiving a typical career in entertainment speech. Some people, on the other hand, appreciated his choice of leaving the political field for the spiritual one, considering it to be a sign of the man's maturity and truthfulness. The audience loved the kind attitude of the father, and many pointed out the good relation between the father and the son, as well as their devotion to Buddhism. It also had a bearing on Richard Gere's brand image. It emphasized the extent to which he has impacted his son in terms of acting and spirituality. Gere's love for Buddhism and philanthropy is clearly seen in his son's character, which means that he is more than just a filmmaker. Richard Gere has always been a man of great spirituality and a follower of Buddhism, so his son's statement must have given him a great sense of pride and accomplishment. It is evident that Gere's son has been brought up with the same values of compassion, mindfulness, and living a purposeful life as his father. It would be a beautiful moment for Gere to see his son adopt these same values and principles they both hold dear. This is an indication of how much his own philosophies have penetrated the family circle and have been handed down from one generation to the other. There is a lot of understanding between Richard Gere and his son, and this is perhaps because they have a lot in common. Gere has always been very protective of his family, especially when it comes to his son, who has the burden of being the son of a Hollywood legend. It is probably this support system that has assisted his son to overcome the challenges of growing up in the limelight. Inasmuch as they have to deal with the pressures of public life, they receive immense support from their families. Hence, having a father like Richard Gere, who has been famous but at the same time has been able to lead a meaningful life, his son has had a good example to emulate. It is without doubt that the family's collective focus on living a life of spirituality, rather than seeking the limelight, has been one of the key factors in keeping the family close-knit and strong in dealing with the attention that they will inevitably receive. And there you have it. Want more insights like these? Click on the video popping up on your screen, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for all the latest updates. See you next time.